Good day, Ross Jason Bowen. Why? It's the 1st of the 8th, 2017. Here's the question of the day. What would you like to fabricate, insinuate, premeditate, and enact that the Messiah is going to come or something may happen? So you have a job in society, you make all the money, everybody else doesn't, like a concentration camp, a prison camp, Alcatraz, that nobody can do anything because they can't get anywhere, have enough money that human rights laws and ethics are being violated, and you dictate on everything there is in life. When dictatorship has been ran out, communism has been ran out, and privatization has fallen because nobody can find a job because it's not in their budgets. And the government refuses to hire people, only those who they choose to, and Canadians seem not to. You want to manifest events from your fabrication and insinuation that don't exist. You're intending to harm somebody, so you're a common nuisance. You can't prevent an assault or murder because you caused it. You administer obnoxious things and foods that the FDA says is good for you, and the Food Administration and the Department of Justice, the Department of Finance, the Department of what is it else? Safe foods and everything else like that, and borders are all controlled by our government. Insinuation and fabrication of events. In a Cold War event, you want us to live in a war-torn country that's always been free in our heads and push ignorance onto us and discrimination and racism. Discrimination is a dollar bill. We can't afford to live in this by the minimum standard of life that you expect somebody to live by and raise a family of 4, which is our human right to have a family, our right of expression, our freedom of speech, and everything else. The Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms dictates is on our human rights by the Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. Signed after Hitler did that all to the Jewish people, and it seems to be repeated. Those drugs are pushed on us with psychiatry drugs, just like they did to people, and say they had paranoia and all that kind of stuff, and schizophrenia, spading and neutering people. A huge genocide, because if Adam and Eve didn't breed, we wouldn't be here today. And if you can't breed because somebody's giving you some needle at birth, it's a genocide because your life's done and your world's done. Doesn't matter if everybody else has kids and you don't. That's called human control and trafficking. You're being a pimp and making them live with less. They're working to make you money, and yep, that's common sense, that's life, but they aren't living a free life at all by human rights, that they can do something and have a dream to live a life and always feel depressed, unhappy, because you're controlling it. Discrimination. We can't walk into a public facility and use it for free when we're paying it for it and on infrastructure taxes, like we pay from K to 12, a useless education system. Denmark, free education in university as well. And in Britain, $20 now, minimum wage. But you jack up the prices. 100 years ago, it might have been $5 a day and $100 for a house in Toronto, or 160 acres for $10 out in the prairies. And Rupert's Day, when he sold it, $1.5 million or 300,000 pounds to sell Rupert's land. 3 provinces plus Northern Ontario is it. Outrageous completely. The ratio between 100 years ago to today, we're still living in the same eras. We've just got modern day technology instead of pen and paper, and an education system that we all know the basics. So our learning curve is different. So we have basic knowledge, and still only the rich get a move on. Now we have more travel worldwide, and we call it vacation time. We choose to go where we want to go on vacation because we want to see what that world's like, or that country. We like our country, we don't want it to change, but there's certain things we like about other places, because you can go see something and pretend you're going to enjoy it for 2 weeks or a week, and that's all it is. Just like reading a fantasy book that something exists. Jump in the Stargate, be in the airplane, and end up where it is. What can I say? Same shit, different pile. Society, and is based for thousands of years to be ran that way. Roman style, Egyptian style, Phoenician style, or whatnot, Arabic. The controlled figure wherever we live by whatever the Ten Commandments was to live in the society of the Roman rule. In their cities, basic law that manifests to today's laws, and that's all it is. Anarchy, nobody wants to follow it. If the RCMP don't want to follow it, it's an anarchy and a coup against the Canadian government and the world governments that they don't want to follow either. Human rights, laws, and ethics violations. Just like Campbell drinking and driving, your violations are just as equal. If he had to stand down, you should stand down. Police brutalities to the Canadian government, 1, 2, and 3, it's all there. And like I said, enough is enough is psychological and physical assault because it's the same thing. Look under family violence, read the definitions, and child abuse. Neglecting. You're the fathers of our country and you're neglecting the people of a proper lifestyle. You have to drop the value of housing. How does it work? No foreigner can buy into the country until they become a permanent resident after 10 years of living in this country and residing in this country, like it says, for so many days per year, and their money is not leaving, and their intent isn't to come here, make money, and leave. That goes for the businesses too. We have to have a complete lockdown, like Russia, and be self-contained in North America to help our country of the United States and Canada and Mexico in our trade agreements because we're North American, and look after our people so we don't have poverty and starvation, cruelty, torture, and everything else. Human rights in our country. Freedoms to live in this country and enjoy our country and not feel assaulted by new changes that's happened over 100 years. Because we're taught something and only know our languages and our ways, just like a little kid sitting there listening to their parents, how to speak English or French, German, East Indian or Indian, Chinese, Filipino, African, French, being France, Switzerland, Russian, Ukrainian, Syrian, or Arabic. We all learn from our parents our first language. Then we have ESL, learning a second language when you get here. That's just the way it works. We're not being discriminated to any races. We travel, we have to either learn your languages or you speak our languages. If we have a bad time, we give a bad rep and say, we don't want to go there. Just like India running all the British out after 200 years of not wanting them around. Why come here and be ignorant to us and say we're being discriminated to you? Any races in North America or any country you go to, you choose to travel to those places. You accept the fact you have to live by their rules. Human rights. You have the right to travel and see stuff by the visas that they accepted you to go there, by the treaty that you're not there to assault or harm anybody, because under the definition of terrorism, you are there a terrorist for harming their structure of society or any person in their home, of their country, or visiting yours as well. Common sense. If you don't understand it, I guess the whole world's in war, and that's why every country has huge amounts of war toys. WSR or RT on YouTube, and you'll find out how much warfare everybody has. Or just look up this country versus this country, World War III, and you can see the armament that all the countries have, and Canada has nothing at all on the list, barely. Oh well. Paranoia? Nope. Cautious. Too many scenarios in this world. Play it out. Just like learning to play basketball. The zones, volleyball, same thing, or going for a run. You always have to be aware where your foot's going to land. That's right. That's why a basketball game, it's only the floor, and there's no rocks on it, and it's all one level ground, just like a football field. You won't twist your ankle unless you step wrong. Or walk in a gym, you're lifting your dumbbells, unless you drop your weight on your foot, you ain't going to get hurt, or the cable breaks on the cable machine. Or you try to bench press something more than you can, or squat more. You might get a hernia, but chances are you won't, because you have your proper hormones in you, And that's the way it works. If you've done sit-ups your whole life, you'll have a stronger ab than somebody else, supposedly. You have better cardio if you start out swimming as a kid, and then later on when you hit grade 5, 6, 7, start running and have cardiovascular running so you get running development muscles instead of just swimming, because you can breathe proper. 1, 2, 3, breathe, and swimming and running is just as much. One's in the water, one's on the surface, and you'll become a better athlete because you're a swimmer at first with cardiovascular and then running. And you'll be a better walker as well and be able to compete in any sport out there without any breathing problems or loss of energy, and you'll be a better athlete because you have cardiovascular. Doesn't matter if you're a wrestler, fighter, same thing. You got to breathe and be able to have your heartbeat at a certain rate so you don't have a heart attack, and you can breathe at that rate as well. Can't breathe, you're dead. How to kill a fire? You take the air out and the fire goes out, and the fuel, meaning food. Just like choking somebody out, they have no air. You take the blood out of a body, they die. Plain and simple. Take the money away, and you starve people in today's society because they can't hunt, fish, and do anything without money to get a permit to do so. Vagrancy is a crime too. Have a good Sunday. Looks like it snowed outside again, and that's all I can say. It's just a crazy day. And here, we'll do a little view outside. Maybe it might pick up, maybe it might not.